All right, Sebastian, great to have you here on our newest episode for our podcast, Leaders Cut the View. You have an impressive background. You've done a master's in merger and acquisition, and what I love is that you've been with the firm for so long, since 2011, and you do a lot of work on M&As, advising young entrepreneurs, on establishing companies. So, for the audience who doesn't really know you, who is Sebastian Hütter?
Mark, first of all, it's great to see you, and thanks for the very kind words. It's an honor to speak with you. We've read about you and the work you do, so thank you for this. When it comes to me, there is not so much to say. I'm just a transaction lawyer based here in Austria, leading an M&A team, doing all kinds of transactions, and on partner level, also responsible for Saxinger, for our firm's IT and AI activities. So that's pretty much it, and that's pretty much where we're talking.
That's amazing. That's amazing. I love that you guys also have an AI initiative. So, where do you feel, what do you spend most of the time thinking about at work?
That is actually in transaction work, how to bridge gaps between what clients and the other side want to achieve, trying to find solution, trying to build bridges and to be creative, and then put these solutions into wording. That's pretty much the thing I do most.
And what do you mean by solutions? You mean like for a company is growing, is the best path to merge? Is the best path to acquire? Is the public offering? Is it what best path to grow, basically?
Exactly. And also beyond that, when you imagine that a company or shareholders are in the midst of negotiations about a share sale, this is a lot of psychology. There's a lot of feelings involved, and you try to assist the client in navigating through this acquisition process. For many people, this is the first and sometimes also last time they're doing this. And these M&A processes have a lot of unique features that people need to encounter, and you try to find solutions for the issues that tend to come up in these processes.
Amazing. Okay, and what do you feel, Sebastian, is the part of your role that surprises people the most?
That we're transaction advisors and not mere jurists or legal advisors. That we do not that a huge part of our advice in M&A is not merely focused on law or on legal provisions, but on the whole transaction process and what is typical in the market and how we can solve different issues that come up that don't always necessarily have a legal focus. So we try to see our role as bigger than just the lawyer, just the law guy.
Yeah, so you mean more strategic. So there is a more commercial, more strategic business growth than just legal. Amazing. And walk us through a normal week. So how does a regular week look like in your office, and where do you feel also the work tends to like pile up for you, your team?
The regular week is composed of negotiating, drafting, and reviewing, actually, right? So, and what piles up is reviewing, actually. When you have a number of transactions going on, and these transactions are not linked. So you have clients, and every client deserves to be the number one and deserves to be the first in line. And sometimes it happens that documents of large size come in, and then it piles up, and then you need time to read, you need time to analyze. It's not so much the negotiations, because you can shift the appointments, but just to prepare and to read and review, and also to mark up contracts. This is simply stuff that takes time. You need to understand the contract, you need to read it a couple of times, and then do the markup.
So negotiation, markup on contracts, and some document review, like a brief. I think there's an art of like how to negotiate, and it's so much like it's really a big structure and big preparation. So yeah, it sounds like there's a lot going on, and when you have especially two deals in the same time, and there's a lot of pressure, so that becomes very challenging. And yeah, I hear you. So what do you feel is the kind of task though that quietly eats up, the time?
Probably reviewing, maybe due diligence review, right? So you get tons of information, loads of information, thousands of documents, and during contract negotiation or SPA negotiations, the expectation of the client and also of the other party is that you know the content of these documents, but this takes days to weeks to do it. And also sometimes this review is not done on partner level, but rather on junior level. So you also have an issue with knowledge transfer. And so sometimes you negotiate and draft contracts and you don't know that you'd have to negotiate something different or draft something different, but you haven't had the chance just because out of timing, but haven't had the chance to review the information or the documents in the due diligence data room. So you need to, then circle back and propose changes. That's not always easy to do. And that's probably the thing that eats up time and it creates inefficiencies.
Yeah, I hear you. And it sounds like the due diligence would be a bit standard. So it's like a standard data room, but also sometimes it varies. Sometimes the customer or the kind of partner doesn't have all the similar standard documents that are in there. So they could say you can ask for financial statement, but they put the financial statement that's a different template. So there's a lot of kind of adjusting and this what you said, knowledge transfer. And so when things get really busy for you, what do you feel breaks first? What's the first thing that breaks?
Now the time frame breaks because you can't risk quality. People spend a lot of money on your services and you can't do sloppy work. So the first thing that breaks is the schedule, and it doesn't happen often, but sometimes, honesty, in my opinion, honesty is always the best way to go forward, to tell the client, listen, we need 2 more days. We want to do proper work. This sometimes happens.
Yeah, I hear you. And you spoke about, AI at some point. At some point, did you consider AI or automation or using software to come as a possible fix to help with this efficiency with due diligence or with contract reviews or like the process in general?
Yeah, we do use it. We have a number of AI tools that we use that have been approved for data secrecy issues that we have here in Europe. The thing is that we didn't encounter speaking of legal due diligence, we didn't encounter a tailor-made tool that does a great job in legal due diligence. We tested a few tools, and I'm starting to think that my initial approach, that you basically take a data room of a couple of thousand documents, upload it to a web tool, and then say, please do legal due diligence for me or do a first draft of the report. It just didn't work out. So what we now do is we changed our approach a bit, and we use AI tools to assist in legal DD. I'm thinking about, like, you buy a cupboard or a closet at IKEA, and you can't tell the electric screwdriver to build the closet for you, but you can use it to build it faster. But you still have to know where to use it and which screws and how strong you. And this is the way I tend to think that it works for the time being. Not fully automated, but making it more efficient. For example, if you have 20 intercompany loan agreements in your target group and you review one and they all kind of look the same, then you can ask the AI to just point out the
Yeah,
differences of the other 19, which saves a lot of time. That will be an example where we really use AI right now to work more efficiently.
yeah. So I hear you. So like you said, this example of IKEA, like the electric, so it makes it faster. But you said like the current process of just pulling all this data and asking an AI tool do the due diligence is just like all over the place. This is like not what you imagine. And you've tried tools. Yeah. So what did you try? And you said on this example, but why do you think it didn't work the way you had hoped?
First of all, simple technical reasons. You have a data room, and the data room has maybe 15 gigabytes. And the upload process failed many times. The
Mm,
tool wasn't powerful or stable enough to process this amount of data. Or the tool had problems reading 120 files out of 5,000. Or that's only the technical issues. Another issue is that the tool gives you 700 findings and marks every one as key finding or as red flag finding. And then you'd have use a lot of time to verify these findings or check them whether they're really red flag and they're redundant. So what these tools, I think, I don't know. To me, it seems like the development is not there yet to automate a whole due diligence review.
So you spoke about the technological difficulty in uploading because there's a big amount of data. I'm not sure if I got, are using some sort of tools like Claude, like ChatGPT, or like a tailored software. Maybe you're not allowed to mention, but I'm just curious, like, is just that is the biggest thing you think in your point of view, or there's also some workflow within that needs to check across all documents and link them together and link them to the brief? Like, what do you think was the main like source of issue or fix?
I think the upload is something that needs to be fixed easily. That's basically like nothing. But if you license a tool, and I'm not talking about ChatGPT or Claude, I'm talking about these specific legal tools. I mean, have to get their technology right. That's basic stuff. Otherwise, you can't sell them to big law firms. That's number one.
Wow.
So what I wanted to say is that even these are hurdles you see when you do a due diligence and the tool tells you 3 times, sorry, upload didn't work. Yeah. And I mean, basically, these tools need APIs to the data rooms.
Mm,
It will be the case that you need to download the whole data room, which, by the
mm,
way, you're not even allowed each time. It's not even possible. And then you need to
mm,
upload it again. Doesn't really make sense. They need to
mm,
connect to the data rooms and fetch it from there. But this
yeah.
is where we stand. And on the other hand, of course, the issues that we really then face is how good is the review done? How well is it done? And is it really a red flag? Does it really point out the right things, or does it point out BS? And this
Mm,
is really and this is really mixed. The results are
mm,
mixed. These tools do find things that you just don't find yourself. So it's helpful. It is helpful. They
mm,
draw, connections between remote documents that you wouldn't see when doing it manually. Set aside that a junior who does it wouldn't see it. But on the other hand, it produces a pile of BS.
mm,
So you might encounter this in all other cases you're working on, but this is just, and where we stand and what we do is we really raise our efficiency by using the tools for selected items. And then you
mm.
don't need a specialized tool. You can use the standard off the shelf tools because it can tell you differences between 20 documents, and it does it, and it's precise. Yeah. So that works and it helps.
Yeah. No, that's great. That's great. And it's very challenging because when you see that stuff that didn't go well, you will think to yourself, okay, what else? What else? And you lose trust a bit in the workflow, and you still have to review everything and do it yourself anyway, right? So maybe it helps a bit, cuts a bit the time, but it doesn't sound like also like there's the due diligence isn't happening a lot. Like this happens once, it's a big thing once every month, or maybe a few times, maybe once every week, but it's a very intensive process. And like you said, it's this problem of APIs, and you'd rather just have a webhook, like you said, that just fetches automatically. It doesn't have to go through each API and then you get accepted. So yeah, so this is also it's very insightful. I heard this due diligence problem a lot, by the way. So what do you think was missing when you wanted to be more efficient in that process, or maybe in general in the other processes, or what would you want to see that's done better?
We would like to see that have the choice to have one tool. We would like to have a tool that is as good as, let's say, Claude in general things, but does have deep legal knowledge because it has access to paid legal databases.
Mm,
And we would like this tool to have a stable data room to analyze and to produce reports that are produced according to our corporate design. Plus, we would like this tool to be fully integrated into Microsoft Word because Microsoft Word is the lawyer's tool, right?
yeah.
And moreover, we would like this tool to fetch our thousands and thousands of internal files that we have from the past and build its knowledge also based on
Mm,
these files and past cases. And there are tools for each of these tasks, but as far as I know, but I
mm,
don't know a lot,
yeah.
this tool that we would wish to have doesn't exist. Plus, tools on the market like Harvey or Legora are the pricing is ambitious. Let's call it like that.
Yeah.
So yeah, this is, I think the development is very fast, and
Yeah.
it's not the end. And we're really looking forward to to see improvements and see the changes it has to mix to our work.
It's amazing, I love how you have such a deep clarity on what you need and what you want. It's very rare to, you're very laser like clear on that. So thanks for expressing this. And so if you look at the whole workflow, if that one process ran smoother for you, how would you feel? Like how do you would that free up your team up to do in your point of view?
First of all, it would solve one big issue that clients are less and less willing to pay money for due diligence. I mean, we're kind of focusing on due diligence here, but that's fine, right? So
Yeah.
this is one part of M&A work where the client increasingly has problems to understand why to pay a load of money for that. And right now we're in the situations that we spend hours and need to spend it to guarantee the quality. And usually you don't want to explain to your client why he needs to pay this. Yeah, you want a client where you do a good job and then he pays the invoice, right? Full
Yeah.
stop, because he understands that you spend time. But this is hard for due diligence, and if technology can help to bridge the gap, so to say, to make due diligence processes more efficient and
Yeah.
more affordable for clients, it will be great. That would be something that would help the whole industry.
Yeah, usually a due diligence happens when you already have a strategic brief to enter M&A or to do some sort of like merger or whatever, right? But it sounds like also you would like to do this due diligence earlier and very fast so you can even assess, like you can give a value or even like, yeah, you can give a valuation, even assess what's a good fit. So you can even use it as a tool, a process where it's like, okay, we had a chat, let's do a quick due diligence and see like actually if there's a good fit for even us to engage. And if so, what would be the valuation? And if so, what would you do? Is it an M&A? And could list all the companies also. So it's like, what? We just met for dinner and now you're telling me like a quick report on a brief like of our collaboration. You know what I mean? So
No, some transactions even don't happen because a client on buy side is not sure if it's worth it to spend the money for due diligence.
mm,
And you would, because it's not so likely that it would happen. And if you could make due diligence more efficient and more affordable, it could also create more deal flow. So yeah.
yeah, amazing. Okay, we're entering the final sections here. So, and I love how you used cut the BS before, so that's great. But thinking about everything you've seen, Sebastian, is there a specific workflow, habit, or meeting where leaders should just honestly cut the bullshit, cut the BS? Because, it looks productive, but really isn't.
I don't really know. To be honest, I mean, what people should stop doing is, I get as partner responsible for AI, I get 3 or 4 emails a week from colleagues internal. Wow, I've seen this new tool. Let's test it. Let's test it. We have to test it, right? So I think we should all, step a little back and not, not use the tool approach. There is a tool. Let's test it, but let's rather think about what we need, right? And then look where the solution is, and not always run behind the latest tool that
Yeah.
changes every week. So this will
Yeah.
not, this will not bring us forward.
Yeah, it's like this shiny object, effect of, like little children. We want candy very fast, but you're thinking more like, let's really, really do this properly. So, last question here. If you could give one piece of advice to leaders who have been through your journey, challenges, your opportunities, and, the similar journey you've been through, what would that advice be?
The advice would be that there are no miracles and there are no wonder tools, and take your time, use it, and try to understand what it does. Don't take decisions for things that you don't understand.
Amazing. Sebastian, thank you so much for such an insightful session. I love the rawness and your position is very unique. You have such a position of influence. Your firm is doing great. I really recommend like more, I hope, and see more M&As and happen within your firm, within Europe. I think it's a great time. Thank you for like, focusing on what truly matters and cutting all the noise. around you. We really appreciate this. I hope the audience learned a lot. I learned a lot. And yeah, any lasting thoughts?
Mark, thanks a lot, and for giving me the opportunity to share a few thoughts. And I love what you do, and keep up the work. It's very, very interesting to follow your work. Thanks a lot.
Thank you, Sebastian. Cheers. Hope to have another session and chat more. Hope to see you around, and I'll keep on following what you do. Definitely. Thank you.